वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यं श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यं तं तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। साक्षात्कृतं दयानन्दं परमार्थस्वरूपिणं तत्त्वज्ञानप्रशास्तारं प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। You can repeat. ॐ ब्रह्मदेवानां प्रथमः सम्बभूव
Voice has gone again. Yeah.
Okay, now.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Yes. Yes, Sangamitraj, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now, yes.
You please message me immediately.
Yeah, I texted, yeah.
Om Brahma Devanam Pratama Sambhabhuva.
Om Brahma Devanam
Prathama Sambhuva
Vishwasya Karta Bhuvanasya Gopta.
Vishwasya Karta
Bhuvanasya Gopta
Sabrahma Vidyam Sarva Vidya Pratishtham.
Brahma Vidyam Sarva Vidya Pratishtham
Atharvaya Jyeshtaputraya Praha.
Atharvaya
Jyeshtaputraya Praha
Atharvaneyam Pravareta Brahma.
Atharvaneyam
Pravareta Brahma
Atharvatam Purovachangire Brahma Vidyam.
Atharvatam Purovangire Brahma Vidyam
Sabharadvajaya Satyavahaya Praga.
Purovachaya
Sabharadvajaya
Satyavahaya Praha
Bharadvajon Girase Paravaram.
Bharadvajo Angirase Paravaram
Shaunako Havai Mahashalaha.
Shaunako
Havai Mahashalaha
Angirasam Vidivadupasannah Papracha.
Angirasam Vidivadapasanna
Kasmin Bhagavo Vigyate.
Kasmin Bhagavo Vigyate
Sarvamidam Vigyatam Bhavatiti.
Sarvamidam Vijnatam Bhavati
Tasmai Sahovacha.
Tasmai
Sahovacha
Dve Vidye Veditavye.
Dve Vidye Veditavye
Itihasma.
Itihasma
Yad Brahmavido Vadanti.
Yad
Brahmavido Vadanti
Parachaiva Paracha.
Parachaiva Paracha
Tatra Pararigvedo Yajurvedaha.
Pararigvedo Yajurvedaha
Samavedo Tharvavedaha.
Samavedo Tharvavedaha
Shiksha Kalpo Vyakaranam Niruktam.
Kalpo Vyakaranam Niruktam
Chando Jyotishamiti.
Tando Jyotishamiti
Atha Parayaya.
Parayaya
Tadaksharamadigamyate.
Tadaksharamadigamyate.
This is the last mantra we were seeing, and we have seen the Bhashyam also. Akshepa and Samadhanam. Akshepa also I think we have seen. Samadhanam we have to see. Let me give a quick recap of what we saw. We can read the Bhashyam. You can repeat. Tatra ka para.
Tatra ka para
Ityuchyate. Okay. Can you hear me now? Tatra, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Tatra kapara.
Tatra
Tatra
Okay. This problem will come. So it will resume automatically. Need to wait for a few seconds. Okay. Kindly bear with me. The cause is not known. Tatra kapara
Para
ityuchyate
Ityuchyate
Rigvedo Yajurvedaha
Rigvedo Yajurvedaha
Samavedo Tharvavedaha
Samavedo Vedaha
Iti ete Chattvaraha Vedaha
Iti ete Charo Vedaha
Vedaha Shiksha Kalpo Vyakaranam Niruktam
Kalpo Vyakaranam Niruktam
Chando Jyotishamiti
Chando
Jyotishamiti
Angani Shad
Angani Shad
Yesha Apara Vidya
Yesha
Vidya
Atha Idanim
Idanim
Iyam Para Vidya Uchyate
Iyam
Paravidya Uchyate
Yaya Tat
Yaya
Tat
Vakshyamana Visheshanam Aksharam
Vakhyamana Visheshanam Aksharam
Adhigamyate Prapyate
Adhigamyate
Prapyate
Adhipurvasya
Adipurvasya
Yasya
Gameghe Prayashaha
Gamehe
Prayashaha
Praptyarthatvad
Praptyarthat
Nacha
Nacha
Parapraptehe
Prapyate
Avagamartasya Vedaha Asti
Avagamasya
Asti
Avidyayaha
Abhidayaha
Apayaha evahi
Evahi
Parapraptihi
Paraprapti
Na Arthantaram.
Na
Arthantaram
Let me give the meaning, a quick meaning of these lines of the Bhashyam, which we have seen already. The mantra says what are Paravidya, what are Aparavidya, and what is Paravidya. Paravidya is only one. Aparavidyas are many. So, Rigvedaha, Yajurvedaha, Samavedaha, Atharvaveda iti Chatvaraha Vedaha. Kapara Tatra Kapara iti uchyate. Paravidyas are many. Therefore, Kaha Aparaha. Which are Paravidyas? These four Vidyas. These four Vedas. Chatvaraha Vedaha Aparavidya. Not only that. Along with these four Vedas, that which are helpful in understanding the Veda, those are also called Apara. So that they are called Vedanga. Vedanam Angam. And there are many, 6 in number, therefore Angani Bhagavachanam. Vedanam Angani Vedangani Shat, 6 in number. Shiksha Kalpaha Vyakaranam Niruktam Chandaha Jyotisham. And about that we saw who were the authors and what are the topics these Vedangas deal with those things we have seen in detail. Yesha apara vidya. So all these are, this is apara vidya. This is apara vidya. Tatra kapara, yesha apara. That has been defined. Now the next one is para. Atha idanim. Atha, the word is there in the mantra. Idanim means now. What is para? Para vidya. Iyam para vidya. Para vidya is vidya is Strilinga, therefore iyam. Iyam para vidya uchyate. This is para vidya. What? Yaya, by which Pakshyamana visheshanam aksharam. Pakshyamanani visheshanani. Yasya tat. That is visheshanam. That which is going to be described. That which is going to be told. Pakshyamana is future tense. Visheshanam is whose, which is whose vishesha, which is going to be distinctly mentioned. The particularities of the aksharam, which is apara, which is going to be told, will be talked about later. Pakshamanam visheshanam aksharam. So it is going to be talked about later. Aksharam. Aksharam is Brahma. That is the subject matter of Paravidya. Therefore, Aksharam. And the word Aksharam is there. So that which is going to be talked about, what? Paravidya, by which Aksharam Adigamyate. Brahma Adigamyate. Brahma is understood. Adigamyate is equal to Prapyate, gained. Brahma is gained. Adipurvasya gamehe, gam dhatu. Gamyate is gam dhatu. Gacchati, gacchataha, gacchanti, gam dhatu. This gam dhatu, the verbal root with the upasarga, adi. Generally, it is in the sense of praptyartatva, gaining. Mostly it is in the sense of gaining. But here, since it is paravidya, which is the subject matter of knowing, therefore there is no physical gaining. Therefore, adigamyate is equal to avagamyate. Avagamartasya vedaha na asti, nasti. So, prapyate avagamyate. Praptehe avagamartasya. Praptehe is prapyate, gaining. Avagamyate is understanding. So here, in the case of Paravidya, gaining is understanding. Understanding is called gaining. There is no any physical gaining. Understanding is gaining. Understanding is attaining the goal, the Purushartha, Parama Purushartha, Moksha. Moksha is freedom. Freedom is by the removal of ajnanam. Removal of ajnanam requires only knowledge. There is no work. There is no karma involved. Therefore, prapyate, we need to understand, prapyate is equal to avagamyate, by knowing. So knowledge is important. And Vedanta being the pramanam for knowing that, for knowing that, or by knowing that you become free. So it is the subject matter for knowing. Knowledge makes you free. Okay. Praptihi is equal to prapyate is equal to avagamyate. Prapyate is avagamyate. So the subject matter of Paravidya is knowledge. The knowledge gives freedom. Therefore, praptihi is equal to avagamyate. So there is no difference between prapyate and avagamyate. That is the meaning of that line. Acha parapraptehe avagamartasya vedaha asti. Avidyayaha apayaha eva hi parapraptihi. The removal of ajnanam alone is gaining the ultimate. It is paramapurushartha mokshaha. There is no other gaining. There is no other meaning for the prapti. Iti Vashikara gives the meaning of this mantra. Now, akshepa, objection. I think you can hear me now.
Yes, Priya.
Guruji.
It will come. So, automatically it will resume. So now, akshepa. Now, Purvapakshi raises an objection. This is how it is presented. First, give the meaning. Then Purvapakshi will come and raises an objection. That is the lakshanam of Vyakhyana. Vyakhyana has got pancha, 5 lakshana, 5 features. Padachedaha, padarthoktihi, vigraho, vakya yojana. Akshepasya samadhanam, Vyakhyanam, pancha lakshanam. The 5 features of your Vyakhyana is first splitting the words padachedaha, sandhi vicheda, that is important first. Then giving the meanings of the padam. Then if there is samasa in the mantra, then the vigraha vakya is given for that samasa. Then arranging the words of the mantra in a way so that you understand the meaning of the mantra. That's called vakya yojana anvaya. Then akshepa, objection will be raised, and samadhanam, it is answered. This is called Vyakyanam. This is called Vyakyanasya Panchalakshanam, the 5 features of the Vyakyan. So Bhashyakara has given the meaning of the mantra. Now, Akshepaha, there is an objection. Objection raised by the Purvapakshi. Purvapakshi is the opponent who doesn't agree with what Bhashyakara says. Therefore, he rises. Either somebody sits in front of the Bhashyakara, or Bhashyakara assumes somebody may raise question and therefore he answers. This is the way this Akshepa Samadhanam is presented. Either somebody really could have objected, or somewhere else, need not be physically sitting. Somewhere somebody would have objected and Bhashyakara answers that. So Akshepaha, now objection. You can repeat after me now. Nanu
Nanu
Rigvedadibhakhya
Rigvedadibhakhya
Tarhi
Tarhi
Sa Katham Paravidya Syat
Sa Katham Paravidya Syat
Moksha Sadhanam Cha.
Moksha Sadhanam Cha.
First you understand the objection. What is Paravidya and what is a Paravidya and what is Aparavidya? Aparavidyas are those 4 Vedas. Those 4 Vedas and the 6 Angas, Vedangas, these are Paravidya. Now, these are Aparavidya. 4 Vedas and the 6 Vedangas are Aparavidya. What is Paravidya? Paravidya is that by which you gain knowledge and therefore moksha. And what is the means for gaining moksha? Pramanam is Shastram. Shastram is the Pramanam. Shastram is the Pramanam. Vedanta is the Pramanam. Upanishads are the Pramanam. So, where are these Upanishads located? These are located in the Vedas. End portion of the Veda. That is why it's called Vedanta. Vedanam Antaha. The end portion of the Veda are called Vedas are called Vedanta. Another name of Vedanta is Upanishads. Upanishads gives knowledge, and the knowledge gives freedom, moksha. Now, where are these Upanishads located? In the Veda. And what did we say about Aparavidya? All the 4 Vedas and all the 6 Sanghas are Aparavidya. Aparavidya. And Paravidya is that by which you gain moksha. What is the means for that? Vedanta, Upanishads. And where are they located? Inside the Veda. Now there is a confusion. A confusion. The mantra says 2 Vidya. One is Aparavidya, other one is Paravidya. Paravidya is Brahma Vidya, by which you gain the Aksharam Brahma. So, therefore, since there is a clear distinction between Paravidya and Aparavidya, and Aparavidya is the Aparavidyas are the 4 Vedas plus the 6 Vedangas. Now, Paravidya, it looks as though it is outside the Vedas, because Rigveda, they are Aparavidya, you have said already. And you are distinguishing Paravidya now. So, Paravidya is different from the 4 Vedas and the Shat Angani. So, it means Paravidya is located outside the Veda. It is not inside the Veda. If it is inside the Veda, then you cannot say Aparavidyas are the 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda. You cannot say. If those are Aparavidya, then what is Paravidya? Paravidya must be locating outside the Vedas. So Paravidya has got Bhagyatvam. Bhagyatvam is the status of being external. Rigvedadi Bhagya. Rigvedadi means Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda, all the 4 Vedas. All the 4 Vedas, with respect to all the 4 Vedas, this Paravidya is located outside. Rigvedadi Bhagya, Targi. Then, if Paravidya is located outside the 4 Vedas, then how can you call it as Paravidya? You cannot call it as a Paravidya, because Paravidya is that by which you gain moksha. And for moksha, what is the Pramanam? Shastra Pramanam, Upanishad Pramanam. And the Upanishads are located in the Veda. Now we are saying all the 4 Vedas are Aparavidya, and by Paravidya you gain that Brahma. Then the Paravidya, that is Upanishads, they must be located outside the Vedas. If they are located outside the Vedas, then how can you call it as Paravidya? How can you call it as a Paravidya, and how can moksha be gained? How can it be the sadhanam for moksha? That is the question. First, you need to understand the Akshepa very clearly. Paravidya being outside the Vedas, Paravidya is Upanishads, the knowledge which is given by the Upanishads, which is outside the Vedas. Then how can you call the Paravidya? How can you call it as the Paravidya, the higher knowledge? Higher knowledge is that by which you gain moksha. Therefore, how can it be the means for moksha? Because it is located outside the Veda. Saying anything outside the Veda cannot be considered to be valid. Vedas are the Pramana. Outside the Veda, when you say, it becomes Apramanam. So, if it is Apramanam, then Upanishads, Vedanta cannot give you moksha. It is not the means for moksha. But what we have been saying is Upanishads is the means for moksha. Therefore, only it is called Paravidya. But now, since you say Paravidya is outside the Veda, therefore it cannot be the means for moksha. This is the objection of Purvapakshi. How can Paravidya be outside the Vedas? If it is outside the Vedas, then it doesn't have validity. Then you cannot call it as Paravidya also. It cannot give moksha. It cannot be the means for moksha. It doesn't have status of pramanam to give moksha. Pramanatvam, only if it is a Veda pramana, then only we can talk about it as the moksha sadhanam. It is outside the Veda. When it is outside the Veda, then it doesn't get the status of being a pramanam. It becomes apramanam. This is the question asked by the Purvapakshi. And he quotes from the Manusmriti. Purvapakshi, when he says something, always they will have some supporting statements. So he has got supporting statements from Manusmriti. We can read. Yo Veda Bhagyaha Smrtayaha
Yo
Veda
Bhagyaha
Smrtayaha
Yaschakashak Kudrushtayaha
Yashkashakudrishtayaha
Sarvasta Nishpalaha Pretya
Sarvasana Nishpalaha Pretya
Tamo Nishtahita Smrtaha
Tamo Nishtahita
Smrtaha
Itihi Smaranti.
Iti
Smaranti.
This is a shloka from the Manusmriti. Yo Veda Bhagya Smrtayaha Yashakashakudrishtayaha Sarvastha Nishpala Pretya Tamo Nishtahita Smrtaha. Manusmriti, from that Purvapakshi quotes. Smriti, Smrtayaha, Bhagavachanam, Smrtayaha. So, Yo Veda Bhakyaha, that which are outside the Vedas. Yo Veda Bhakyaha, that which are outside the Vedas. Smrtayaha means that which were written outside the Vedas, therefore it is called Smriti. Were written. We can take Smriti as that which were written. It's a written text. Vedas are not written. It is Apaurishayam. Smritis are Paurishayam. So Smrtayaha is Paurishaya Grantaha Ityartaha. So written, they are located outside the Vedas. Therefore, Yaha Smrtayaha Vedabhagyaha Kaha cha Kudrushtayaha. Since they are outside the Vedas and it is Paurishaya written, they have the status of being valid only if they confirm with the vision of the Shastra. Only when it conforms with the vision of the Shastra, Vedas. Smriti can be accepted only if it doesn't contradict Vedas. Then only Smriti is valid. Like Gita. Gita is Smriti Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, Gita is located, Smriti Grantha. But Gita has a status of Shruti. The Tatparyam, what the Tatparyam of Upanishads, the same is a Tatparyam of Gita also. Doesn't contradict. Therefore, it has a status of the Upanishad. Even though it is a Smriti Grantha, it is considered to be another Veda, another Upanishad. Not another Veda, another Upanishad. So as long as the views of the Smritis doesn't contradict Veda, then we can consider them as valid. But Yaha Kacha Kudrushtaya. Kudrushta means Kutsita Drishti. Drishti means vision, views. Kudrushtaya means wrong vision, false views. If the Smriti Granthas have the vision which are false. False means not in keeping with the Shastram, not as that of the Shastram, the Vedas, then Sarvaha Taha Nishpalaha Eva, then they become useless because their vision is different from the vision of the Veda. When it differs, therefore, it is of no use. It cannot be. It cannot be called a pramanam. It doesn't have the status of pramanam because kudrishtihi, because of wrong vision, false vision. It doesn't have a vision. Therefore, they cannot be pramanam. They cannot be pramanam. Therefore, pretya kismataha tamonishta. Therefore, these that which have wrong vision, they are based on tamas. They are based on ignorance because the vision is wrong. The vision doesn't have the support of Shruti. Therefore, it is wrong. It is a wrong vision. So therefore, they are useless. Therefore, they are useless. And it doesn't talk about moksha. It doesn't talk about the lokas also, which a person gains after death. So with regard to moksha and with regard to lokas, a person reaches after maranam, they are useless. Whatever they say, they cannot be correct. They are wrong. They are wrong visions because they differ from the main pramanam, Veda pramanam. Therefore, this is the thinking of the traditional people. So traditional people, they say that which are Veda Bhagyaha located outside the Vedas, having wrong vision cannot give the knowledge of moksha and also about the loka a person reaches after death. So therefore it doesn't have validity. Smriti doesn't have validity if it doesn't confirm with the vision of the Vedas. It will have validity only when it confirms with the teaching of the Veda. Only when it has the vision, same vision as that of the Veda. So anything outside the Vedas, not having the vision of the Veda, is considered to be apramanam, invalid. So here, what the Purva Pakshi says is, if the Paravidya is located outside the Veda, it is outside the Veda, then it becomes Smriti. It becomes Smriti. And if it has a wrong vision, then it cannot be Pramanam also. It cannot be Pramanam also. So, therefore, Purupakshi is saying, Paravidya, which is located outside the Veda, they also become fruitless if it doesn't give moksha. If it doesn't give moksha, then it is also Nishpalaha eva, Paravidya Upanishads. Because Upanishads are the Pramanam. Upanishads are the Pramanam. Upanishads are the sadhanam for moksha. And Upanishads, you say outside the Vedas. When it is outside the Veda, therefore it cannot be the Pramanam. And therefore the usefulness of the Upanishads also not there. It is Nishpalaha eva. Therefore, since it doesn't have the status of being a moksha sadhanatvam nasti, ataha nishpalaha eva. Therefore, they are useless, like any other smriti grantha, which differ from the Veda in terms of the vision. So therefore, Purupakshi says, therefore, Paravidya also have to be negated. They are useless. They are fruitless. So therefore, if that is so, then what will happen? If that is so, then Paravidya should not be accepted. It cannot be the means for moksha. That is the point Purvapakshi takes. And therefore, he is trying to corner the Siddhanti by saying this: Upanishads cannot be the pramanam for moksha. In that case, Upanishad cannot be the pramanam, and therefore it has to be given up. It should be dismissed. That is a stand Purvapakshi takes. So Kudrish, now the next line we can read. Kudrishtitvat,
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 Nishpalatvat,
Nishpalatvat,
Anadeya Syat.
Nadeya Syat.
Two reasons for dismissing the Upanishads, which are located outside the Vedas. If Upanishads are located outside the Vedas, there are two reasons for it to be dismissed. One is Kudrishtritvat. It has the wrong vision. Because outside the Vedas, if it is outside the Vedas, it cannot be a pramanam. If it's not a pramanam, then it cannot have the right vision. So one is wrong vision. Second, if it has got a wrong vision, then what is the utility of that? Nothing. It doesn't have any usefulness. Therefore, nishpalatvat. It will have the status of kudrishtritvam and nishpalatvam. Therefore, will you accept that? Anadeya syat. Therefore, it should be dismissed. It cannot be accepted. It is unacceptable. Therefore, with regard to moksha, anything which doesn't conform to Vedas is considered to be kudrishti and nishpalatvam. So Upanishads are also become useless with regard to moksha. That cannot be. Therefore, how you will wait for the Siddhanti to answer. It becomes, if Upanishads become fruitless, then what is the means for moksha? What is the moksha sadhana? If Upanishads are not the pramanam, then what is the means for moksha? That is what the Purvapakshi wants to say. If you consider Paravidya different from Vedas, then we cannot accept Paravidya. It doesn't have the status of being a pramanam to give moksha. Therefore, not accepted. Then the next line. Upanishadam cha Rigvedadi bhakhyatvam syat. Rigvedaditvetu Prithakkaranam anartakam atha para iti. Upanishadam cha Rigvedadi bhagyatvam syat. Because Paravidya, it's outside the Vedas. Therefore, Upanishads must be located outside the Veda. Upanishads will have the status of being outside. Bhagyatvam syat. Upanishadam Rigvedadi bhagyatvam syat. The last portion of the Veda, which is called Upanishad, it is outside the Vedas. It is outside the Vedas. Upanishadam, of the Upanishads. Shashti Vibhakti Bhagavachanam. Rigvedadi bhagyatvam, the status of being outside the Rigveda, etc. Syat. Rigvedadi bhagyatvam syat. So Upanishads will have the status of being outside the Vedas. Because you are distinctly mentioning, and 4 Vedas and Vedangas are Aparavidya, therefore it must be located outside the Vedas. That is not acceptable. That would be acceptable. If they are outside, then they are not acceptable. Upanishads cannot be called Vedanta. called Vedanta. So now Upanishadam Rigvedaditve Pratakkaranam Anarthakam Syat. But Upanishads are located in the Veda only, at the end of the Veda. Therefore, since Upanishads cannot be located outside the Vedas, the very purpose of Pratakkaranam, is separating. Pratakkaranam Anarthakam. Separating the Upanishads, the Paravidya, is Anarthakam, meaningless. If Upanishads are the part of the Veda, then mentioning them separately is useless. Why should you separate it and say they are inside the Veda, end of the Veda? So you don't have to say it. You don't have to say it separately. Upanishads are in the Vedas. So your division, you are dividing the Vedas. Your division itself becomes meaningless. If it is inside, and what is the need for division? So in both ways you are caught. One is, if Upanishads are outside the Veda, then it cannot be the moksha sadhanam, number one. If it is inside the Veda, then why do you split? Why do you split and mention separately? So now, Purvapakshi, he thinks he has cornered the Siddhantin. Now, Siddhantin will answer, we give samadhana. First, you need to understand what the Purvapakshi says. I'm saying very slowly because of this internet issue. I hope you understand the stand of Purvapakshi. You all understand the stand of Purvapakshi?
Yes, Ji. Yeah.
Yes, Ji.
Now, samadhana. Samadhana answers. Na vedya vishaya vijnanasya vivakshitatvat.
Vedya
Vedya Vishaya Vijnanasya Vikshitvat.
First, he just gives the answer in a simple line. Then further he will elaborate. That is the Vashyam. That is what the Vashyam is. No. Your objection is not correct. Your objection is not correct. Why? Because Vijnanasya Vishaya Vedya. Vijnana is knowledge. Vishaya, the subject matter. Vedya, to be known. The knowledge of the subject matter to be known, Vivakshitatvat. It is, Vivakshita is intended. Vivakshitatvam tasmat. Because of what is intended by the word Paravidya is the subject matter, is the knowledge of the subject matter which is to be known. The knowledge of the subject matter to be known, it is the intention of the word Paravidya. Paravidya is mentioned distinctly because there's an intention. It has the status of having an intention. What is that intention? Because of that intention, it is hetu, vivakshitatvat, vivakshitatvam tasmat. Having the status of the intention, that is vivakshitatvam, ataha tataha tasmat. So, because the answer is giving, therefore, vivakshitatvat. The meaning of the sentence is the intention of mentioning Paravidya distinctly. The reason for it is the Vijnana, the knowledge of the subject matter to be known. That is the intention for mentioning Paravidya separately. What is intended by the word Paravidya is a knowledge with regard to the knowledge regarding what is to be known. What is to be known through the words of the, what is to be known through the Upanishads. What is to be known through the Upanishads. Further, Bhashyakara will explain. Further, Bhashyakara will explain this. So, here, what is known through the Upanishads? That is important. Not what is not just the words of the Upanishad, what is known through the words, not just the words. Paravidya, Paravidya is inside the Veda. There is no doubt about it. They are located, they are included in the Veda, at the end of the Veda. But by the word Paravidya, what is meant is not just the words of the Vedas, not just the words of the Veda. What the Vedas or the words of the Veda mean, what the words of the Veda, that is Vedanta, mean. That is what is intended by the word Paravidya. So by Paravidya, not just the words are implied. What is implied is the meaning of the words of the Upanishads. That is called Paravidya. So therefore, Paravidya meaning Upanishads, they are located inside the Vedas. And what we mean by Paravidya is not just the words, collection of words, but the meaning of what the words, meaning of the words. Not Shabda Rashi, but Shabdartha, the Jnanam, the knowledge conveyed by the words. That is what is intended by the word Paravidya. So Paravidya means the knowledge of the words of the Upanishad, not just the knowledge of the Upanishad. Knowledge of the Upanishad means the knowledge of the Upanishad, the knowledge of the words. There are two things. One is the words, that is Shabda. Other one is Artha, the meaning. One is Shabda Jnanam, other one is Artha Jnanam. So Shabda Jnanam is just knowing the words. Just knowing the words without the meaning. Artha Jnanam is knowing the words with the meaning. So by Paravidya, what is meant is knowing the meaning of the words. Understanding. That is what is meant by the word Paravidya. Understanding is called Paravidya. Understanding the meaning of the words of the Upanishad. Meaning of the words is what is important. That is what is denoted by the term Paravidya, Brahmavidya. Not just the words. Words you know. Words you know, you can memorize Mundaka Upanishad without knowing the meaning. The words you have it. The words you have it. Shabda Jnanam Asti. You can memorize Upanishad. You have got Shabda Jnanam. That doesn't give moksha. That doesn't become the moksha sadhana. Knowing the words will not give moksha. Knowing the meaning of the words, that is the moksha sadhana. Understanding the meaning of the words of the Upanishad. So the knowledge of the words of the Upanishad is one thing, and the knowledge of the meaning of the words of the Upanishad, that is another thing. That is called Paravidya. Knowledge of the words of the Upanishads are Aparavidya. Knowledge of the meaning of the words of the Upanishad is called Paravidya. If you want a vision of the Upanishads, will you go for Apara or Para? Will you just know the words of the Upanishad, or will you go for understanding the meaning of the words of the Upanishad? You will understand, you will try to understand the meaning of the words of the Upanishad. Gaining that knowledge, you become free. So the moksha is through understanding the meaning of the words, not just the words. If it are just words, then they are inside the Veda. Meaning of the words we say, therefore only it is distinctly mentioned. Ata yaya paravid, ata yaya tadaksharam adigamyate. Para, the word is distinctly mentioned to show that the meaning of the words have to be understood for moksha. Aksharam adigamyate. Brahma jnanam adigamyate. Brahma adigamyate. Brahma adigamyate is through Brahma jnanam. Therefore, it is distinctly mentioned. So the reason for distinctly mentioned is substantiated. The reason for distinct specification of Paravidya is substantiated because what is intended to convey is the knowledge of the subject matter. The knowledge of the subject matter which is to be known through the Upanishad. Therefore, there is a distinct mention, and there is nothing wrong in that. So, therefore, can you all hear me? Now, can you hear me?
Yes, Guruji.
Yes, Ji.
Okay. So, by saying this, Bhashyakara dismisses both the objections. One is Upanishads are located inside the Veda. Upanishads are located inside the Veda only. They are not outside the Vedas. Veda Vagyatvam Nasti Upanishadaha. That is number one. Number two, the reason for distinct mentioning of Paravidya is to show that what it means is the meaning of the words of the Upanishad, not just the words, the knowledge of the meaning of the words. That is what is meant by Paravidya. That is why there is a distinct mention. So therefore, there is nothing wrong in that. That's why division is made. So division has got a reason. Division has got a reason. So both the objections of the Purvapakshi were answered by the Bhashyakara. Paravidya, number one, Paravidya is very well inside the Vedas, and the division is also meaningful. It has got meaning. It is not meaningless division. Now he says further, Upanishad Vedyakshara Vishayam Hi
Upanishad
Vedyaksara Vishayam Hi
Vijnanam Iha
Jnanam
Paravidya iti pradhanyena vivakshitam.
Paravidya
इति प्राधान्येन विवक्षितम्
Na Upanishad Shabda Rashihi.
Na
Upanishad
Upanishad
Rashihi.
This is what I said now. Paravidya iti, by the word Paravidya iti, pradhanyena, mostly, primarily, what is vivakshitam, what is intended to be conveyed. What is intended to be conveyed by the word Paravidya is the knowledge, Vijnanam. What Vijnanam? Upanishad Vedya Akshara Vishayam Hi. The knowledge regarding the Akshara. The knowledge regarding the subject matter, the Akshara. Akshara is Brahma, which is to be known, Vedya, which is to be known. How? Through Upanishads. The Vedya Vishaya, which is Aksharam, which is the subject matter of the Upanishad, which is to be known. That Jnanam is what is meant by the word Paravidya. So, Paravidya means the knowledge of Aksharam, which is revealed by the words of the Upanishad, is what is intended. Bhashyakara clearly says, Na Upanishad Shabda Rashihi, not just the group of words, not just the words, Shabda Rashi. Rashi means collection. Rashi means collection. Shabda means words, not just the Shabda Rashi. Not the Shabda Rashi. Not just knowing the words, knowing the meaning of the words of the Upanishad. That is what is intended. Vivakshitam, na Shabda Rashihi. Not just the group, the collection of the words of the Upanishad. Knowing the words of the Upanishad will not give jnanam and therefore moksha. That is aparavidya only. Even if you know Mundaka Upanishad, any Upanishad by heart, without the meaning of the words of the Upanishad, then it is only aparavidya. If Mundaka Upanishad is if Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad gives you moksha, if Mundaka Upanishad, study of Mundaka Upanishad gives you moksha, not study, just I say Mundaka Upanishad gives moksha. It means memorizing the Mundaka Upanishad and repeating it daily, every day, will it give moksha? No. You have the words with you, but you don't know the meaning of the words. Unless the meaning of the words are known, understood, assimilated, how moksha is possible? So, Shabda Jnanam cannot give moksha. Artha Jnanam gives moksha. Therefore, the word Paravidya means Artha Jnanam, not Shabda Jnanam, not Shabda Rashi. Shabda Rashi, a person studying in Patashala will have the knowledge of the Shabda Rashi, not the meaning. In Veda Patashala, he studies for first 12 years. He just memorizes without knowing the meaning. Does it mean he knows Paravidya? No. He has got Aparavidya. Paravidya is the next step. Understanding the meaning of the words. Understanding the meaning, and that knowledge gives moksha. That knowledge only removes ajnanam, not that Shabda Jnanam. Shabda Jnanam cannot remove ajnanam. Shabdartha Jnanam only removes ajnanam. That is why Paravidya is mentioned separately. There is a need to mention Paravidya separately because the meaning is involved, not just the word. Therefore, it is proper only. The Upanishad making the division is proper only. There is no problem at all. This is what the Bhashyakara says. Next line. Veda Shabdena tu
Vedashabdena tu
Sarvatra
Sarvatra
Shabdarashihi Vivakshitaha.
Shabdarashihi Vivakshitaha.
Veda Shabdena tu Sarvatra, Sarvatra everywhere. What is meant by the word Veda? Veda is Shabdarashi, collection of words. So what is meant by the Veda is the collection of words. But what is meant by the word Paravidya is the knowledge of the meaning of the words which gives you the knowledge Aksharam Brahma. Which gives you the knowledge of Aksharam Brahma. So, Veda Shabdena, by the word Veda, Sarvatra, it is, what is meant is the Shabda Rashi. When a person says that he knows all the Vedas, Chaturvedi, it means he knows the Veda. He knows he has got the knowledge of the words of the Veda, not the meaning. Not the meaning. He knows how to chant. He knows how to chant. He knows the Ucharanam, and Swara knowledge is there. Therefore, he knows. But he doesn't have the meaning of the words. Therefore, it is Paravidya only. It is Aparavidya. For Paravidya, the knowledge of the meaning of the words is important, by which you gain Aksharam Brahma. The next line. Shabda Rashi Adhigame Api.
Shabdarashi Adhigame Api.
Yatnantaram antarena.
यत्नान्तरम्
यत्नान्तरम्
अन्तरेण
अन्तरेण
Gurvabhigamanadilakshanam vairagyam cha.
गुर्वभिगमनादिलक्षणं
गुर्वभिगमनादिलक्षणं
वैराग्यं
वैराग्यं
च
च
Na akshara adhigamaha sambhavati iti.
न अक्षर
अक्षर
अधिगमः
अधिगम
सम्भवति
सम्भवति इति
Pratakkaranam
पृथक्करणम्
पृथक्करणम्
brahma vidyayaha. Brahma vidyayaha.
ब्रह्मविद्यायाः
विद्यायाः
I think Darvana is stopped, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yes,
I know when you are silent, I understood some problem. Paravidya iti.
विद्या इति
Kathanam cha iti.
कथनं च इति
This internet problem makes me slow down. So whatever I say should reach your ears. So I have to slow down. Okay. Let me explain this line and then we can stop. Shabdarashi adigame api. Adigamana means adigama. That is he has got the knowledge. It means he has got the knowledge of the words, not the meaning. Okay, not the knowledge of the group of the words Shabdarashi adigame api. Not the he's got the knowledge of the group of the words of the Upanishad. Shabdarashi adigame api. Yatnantaram antarena guru abhigamanadi means guru abhigamanadi lakshanam vairagyam cha. Na akshara adhigamaha sambhavati iti. He has got the knowledge of the words of the Upanishad, but Guru abhigamanam, approaching the Guru, going to the Guru abhigamanadi lakshanam vairagyam. That is sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. That is denoted by the one word vairagyam. Vairagyam stands for all the qualifications. Adhikaritvam, sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. Vairagyam stands for that. Without sadhana chatushtaya sampatti and without going to the Guru, these are the effort. Without that, yatnantaram antarena. Without effort, without any other effort, without effort in the form of going to the Guru and having the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, akshara adhigamaha na sambhavati. Understanding akshara adhigama, understanding of the akshara, the gaining of the akshara Brahma is not possible. Gaining is understanding, because he has got only the knowledge of the words, not the meaning of the words. So, therefore, and also since he doesn't have sadhana chatushtaya sampatti and Guru abhigamanam, going to the Guru, since those are not there, Shabdarashi adhigame api, even though he knows the Shabdarashi, he has got the Shabdarashi, knowledge of the Shabdarashis, Aksharam Brahma is not gained. Brahma is not gained. Therefore, no moksha. Iti pratakkaranam brahma vidyayaha. Therefore, iti pratakkaranam, separation of Brahma vidya by paravidya iti. It is paravidya iti katanam. It is valid only. Therefore, only Upanishad does the distinction by saying paravidya, distinctly mentioning paravidya. Pratakkaranam brahma vidyayaha. Separate mentioning of paravidya is done by the Upanishad, because Shabdarashi adhigame api, even though there is the knowledge of the words of the Upanishad, but without any effort in the form of Guru abhigamanam and sadhana chatushtayasam. Guru abhigamanam means what? When you go to the Guru, then Guru Shushrusha, then Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Guru Abhigamana means all these are Guru Abhigamana. Okay, can you hear me now?
Guruji.
Yes,
Okay.
Guruji.
Guruji.
So Pratak Karanam, I think there only some problem happened. Pratak Karanam means separate mentioning of Brahma Vidya is to make you understand that Paravidya is different from Aparavidya, because Aparavidya is nothing but the knowledge of the Shabda Rashi, which doesn't require any effort like Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam by going to the Guru, doesn't require the Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti for gaining Jnana Yogyata, not required for Aparavidya. But Paravidya it is required. Paravidya involves the understanding of the words of the Upanishad, for which you need Guru. Going to the Guru, listening to the Guru, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, these are the sadhanam. And the person must be an adhikari, therefore it must be a sadhana chatushtaya sampannaha. All these are involved. That is why Paravidya is separately mentioned. There is a reason for mentioning Paravidya separately. Why? Because it involves effort in the form of approaching the Guru, and having the adhikaritvam, which is not there for gaining the knowledge of words of the Upanishad, Shabdarashi. So therefore, Pratak Karanam Avashyakam Eva, iti Bhashyakara says. I think we can stop here. This makes it difficult for me also, because every time I have to stop. Anyway, I hope this problem will be solved. Let us see. You understand what I said now so far?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, Guruji. Yes.
Yes, Guruji.
So we can stop here and we will continue. We'll continue this in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. If anyone